And I spy a pipe bowl here. It's actually hailing. I can't believe it. It's actually hailing. What's going on? It's supposed to be spring. Can you see the hailstones bouncing off the rocks? Hey, what's happening? Oh yeah, look. A bit of a pipe bowl that's just been exposed. It's got a really big heel there. A lot of people ask what the heel was for, what was its purpose. As far as I understand, I think it was for sort of resting on the table, but I could be wrong. This one is broken, as you can see. And I can see a nice little bit of blue pottery sticking out here. It looks like Westerwald, although I don't know if it is. Look at that blue, isn't it gorgeous? Just look at that hail. I'm taking a bit of refuge here under the pier until the weather calms down a bit. It looks like it's stopping now. And as I just look down over here by this pillar, I've seen something really pretty. Can you see it? I'll zoom in. It's just down here. And it looks like a ruby. Well, maybe not a ruby, but it's a very, very pretty bead. Just look at that. Isn't that gorgeous? So delicate. That's a beautiful find. I'm here on the foreshore and there is a little bit of pipe stem here, and I'm really hoping that there's a bowl on the end of it. So I'm going to do a little bit of an excavation to see. There's always that anticipation. Is there a bowl on the end? There's not. And it's such a delicate operation. You don't want it to be in there for over 100 years and then break when you're trying to extract it. So let's have a look here. And there is, it's intact. That is wonderful. What could be better than that? And it's got a nice design on it too. Let's have a look. It's got a nice swirly design. Fantastic. Okay, I've just discovered some strange teeth. Very strange. Now, who can tell me where these come from? It's just like a tiny fragment of jawbone. It almost looks fish-like, to be honest, but surely that can't be fish teeth. Now that, I have to say, has flummoxed me. Whose teeth are these? Or what teeth are these? The monster from Thames? I just turned over this piece of pottery and got a lovely surprise. Just look at this. That is fantastic. Look, it's a man pointing somewhere, and it's got vagrants. Vagrants this way, please. Oh, that's wonderful. I've just picked this up. I'm not sure what it is. It's got 2 holes in it, so perhaps it's a button. And then I started to sort of rub my fingers on it, and it looks like it's got something on it. Oh, how interesting. Yeah, it's got like a little design around it, look. Around the edge, you can see. It's quite malleable, so I have to be a bit careful with it. Now that's quite interesting. I shall give it a clean when I get home. I don't want to damage it. But it looks like some kind of button with a design on it and some sort of ornamental design around the edge. It probably belonged to King Henry VIII. Let's hope. I've just found something, large chunk of glass that looks rather deliberately cut. It looks very diamond-like. Look at that. Isn't that pretty? It's got something scratched into it as well. It's 10/15 R on that side. And on the bottom, like B25 or something. I wonder what that is. It's rather stunning though. So there's evidence of a pipe here, so I'm going to carefully excavate it, see how much of it is there. Let's have a look. Oh, it's quite deeply embedded, so let's carefully get the mud away from around it. Oh, and it looks like it's got a nice stamp on the base of the heel there as well. This is exciting. Wowzer. Just think, you know, this hasn't been held by anyone since the last person, since the person who smoked it probably. Look at that. Look at that. And out it comes. Out it comes. Let's have a closer look at that maker's mark. Okay, I've given it a little rinse and it looks like the initials RH stamped on the heel there. So that is who made this pipe, RH. That's so beautiful. Well, I've just found this, which is quite interesting. It's like a long, 3-pronged thing. Perhaps used for getting something out of jars. It's got 3 prongs on that side and 2 there. So if anybody has any ideas, or if you've seen anything similar, please let me know. this an old fishing weight, I think? It has the number 1 on it. There's another lead weight down here, and I do have quite a good lead weight collection, so I'm going to show you that too. Thank you very much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed that little excursion along the Thames foreshore, which was made up of a few different outings over the last 2 or 3 weeks. And now I'm going to go through the objects which featured on today's video, and I'm going to start with this beautiful pipe here. Now, I was really excited when I saw this emerging out of the mud because I could see this little heel revealing itself here with these initials on. And this type of marking was used predominantly between 1580 and 1730, so I could tell already that the pipe had some age to it, and it was absolutely wonderful to see some initials here. Now, on these heels, they used to either be like a maker's mark, and in fact I've got one from an old Dutch pipe which is really beautiful. It's like a milkmaid with some buckets, and I'll show you a picture of it. And this one is the initials RH. Now, when I looked at the database on the Pipe Archive website of all the UK pipe makers, I found a few RHs, but there's one who was making pipes in the area near where I found it at Surrey Quays called Robert Hornsby in about 1650. So I'm thinking that perhaps this is the handiwork of Robert Hornsby, a pipe from about 1650. So I'm absolutely thrilled with that. And it just goes to show that Robert Hornsby, although he lived about 350 years ago, left his mark on the world, so he never quite disappeared completely. So that's this pipe, of which I'm very, very pleased. Now, along the same stretch of foreshore, I found this pipe. Now, this pipe is a lot more recent. I'd say it's 19th century, probably mid-19th century, maybe 1840. 1850, and it's a completely different style. You can see the slender stem and the beautiful decoration on the bowl here. There's no maker's mark on it, which is a shame, but I'm still very, very pleased with it. And it's funny to think that these two pipes, and they're so different, and there's well over 300 years between them. So I was thinking that the person who lost this clay pipe on the Thames foreshore would probably have been quite thrilled themselves to find this one. And now I found both of them, so I'm doubly excited. So there's my 2 clay pipes that featured in the video, found on the same day, on the same stretch of foreshore, with over 300 years difference between them in age. Now, there are some excellent resources online for dating pipes and for finding out lots and lots of information about them. There's the Society for Clay Pipe Research, who have a really good Facebook page. There's also the Pipe Archive, which has a website. And also a Mr. Chiz Harwood, who runs the Urban Archaeology blog page. He prepared a really interesting and useful clay pipe fact sheet. So I'm going to put the details on the description under this video of where you can find that PDF if you're interested in printing it out. So, pipes. Can never talk enough about pipes, I do love them. So now to my next item, which I'm going to tell you about, and that is this beautiful fragment of pottery with this man with the top hat and vagrants written above it. Now, as is often the case for a tiny bit of pottery, there's actually a huge story behind it, so I'll start from the beginning. In the 18th century, Benjamin Franklin, one of the founder fathers of the USA,
obviously, he wrote a yearly publication called Poor Richard's Almanac, and it was very, very popular in households in the 18th century, and it was full of lessons, life lessons, proverbs, sayings, little tips and hints and essays. And if this plate had been in its entirety, we would have seen one of Benjamin Franklin's lessons on it. On the top it said Little Richard's Way to Wealth, there on the top. And then along the bottom a saying which says, "For age and want save while you may, no morning sun lasts a whole day." So this plate was quite educational. In the middle there would have been a group of people all standing outside a savings bank. So it was really a lesson on saving your money and how not to become a vagrant. And it was probably an educational plate for children, so that when they finished ploughing through their potatoes and turnips, they would come face to face with this lesson of how to save and not to become a vagrant. Now, of course, the original mudlarks, back before Victorian times, they were the poorest of the poor, very much vagrants themselves. So I did think it was quite ironic that I found this little piece of pottery in the mud. So there, a very big story behind a tiny fragment of pottery. Now there are a few curious items here which I'd be very happy to have some more info on. The first one is this button. I've not found a button like this before. It's got like a little wishbone type design on it, if I've got it the right way up. And I think it's a button. It's got the two holes there. Interesting shape, and it's got a nice design around the edge. I'm not sure what it's made of, and I've no idea of the age, but if you think you know anything about this button, then please let me know. I'd be very happy to hear from you. Now there is this interesting little cut piece of glass, or whatever it is, which would be sort of relatively straightforward and not that interesting really, apart from the fact that it's got something engraved on the bottom there, some numbers on the bottom and also on the front. So I'm just wondering what it is, what it was used for. Somebody's clearly engraved those letters on, so I'm quite curious as to where it came from. So if you know, please let me know. And then we've got this interesting stabby fork here. It looks like a little fork with 3 prongs on one end and 2 on the other. Maybe it was used for eating shellfish or lobsters, oysters, winkles. I'm not sure, and I'm not sure how old it is, but possibly over 100 years old. Have you ever seen anything like that before? I think it would be quite useful for eating gherkins. I mean, for getting them out of the jar, for catching them. So I may well use it for that. Got my little bead here. I must get around to making some bracelets or necklaces with my beads. I've got a lovely collection. I could definitely make something very multicoloured with all of them. It's always a pleasure finding these beads. Now here are my 2 lead weights which I picked up on the same outing. I do pick these up and keep them because lead isn't very good for the environment, so I like to take them away from the foreshore, but they're also sort of satisfyingly heavy and nice and chunky, and I like the fact that this one has got a 1 on it. And I suppose it's not surprising that we find so many lead weights along the river because there's been such a lot of fishing, and still is, going along the River Thames, and now there are lots and lots of fish in the river. It's a lot cleaner than it was, and apparently there's about 120 different species of fish in the River Thames. And this brings me to my last item, which is very strange, and as usual when you're mudlarking you do learn the most interesting and odd and unexpected things, and this is no exception. I'm going to talk to you about these very strange little teeth. Now some of you may know what they are. I had no idea, but I do know now, and I'm not sure I really want to know what they are, but unfortunately you can't unlearn some things. And now I know way too much about them because I've been Googling all sorts of diagrams and information. So I'm now going to tell you that these little teeth are pharyngeal teeth. Now if that leaves you none the wiser, like it did me, I'll break it down to you. They're basically throat teeth from certain fish. Yes, that's right, there is such a thing as throat teeth, and these are them. So I'll read you a little bit of the description from Wikipedia about these throat teeth. Pharyngeal teeth are teeth in the pharyngeal arch of the throat of cyprins, suckers, and a number of other fish species. Fish can make clicking sounds when they grind their pharyngeal teeth. Well, there you go. I hope you learnt something new. Having studied a few pharyngeal teeth diagrams, and believe me, there's a lot of them, it seems that these probably come from a carp. I don't know what happened to the rest of the carp, but there are his pharyngeal teeth in all their glory. And all I'll say is, don't go putting your fingers down a fish's throat. I certainly won't be. And on the subject of mythical sea creatures and mystery teeth and things that are in the water that we don't know what they are, under my glass dome today I want to share with you one of my previous finds from about 4 years ago, which definitely has a mystical theme about it, but which I don't know very much about, so I'm hoping that somebody watching this may know a little bit more about this. So under the dome is this very heavy, looks handmade, half mermaid, half lady that I found in the Thames about 4 or 5 years ago. She's holding like a little bowl with some wheat in it and something here which I'm not sure what it is. She's got a tail. Like I said, it's pretty crudely made, but somebody's really taken a lot of trouble to make this, and I found it on the mud, and I really would love to know what she symbolises, what she means. Is she a goddess? Is she a mythical creature? Who is she and what does she mean? She's certainly very beautiful, and I've given her a very lovely home here in my studio. I don't know if she was perhaps a religious offering, but I've never seen anything quite like this before. So do you know anything about her? If you do, please let me know. So, thank you very much for watching, and thank you too for all your feedback and comments on my last video. I'd like to wish you all a wonderful week ahead, and I'll see you again very soon.